Hi, friends. We're going to talk about an old subject here called COVID. But in this particular case, I'm going to be talking about long term COVID, which I do have. The reason I wanted to bring this up is because people that knew me before the year or the date of January 2020 said I'm not anything like I was before then. They said I was full of energy, I could remember everything, had a twinkle in my eyes, wanted to do a lot of stuff. I ended up, I think it was January 2020, in King's Daughters Hospital, and I was the first one in the outpatient area. It's divided into the hospital and into half of its outpatient offices for doctors, and they didn't know what to do. I was literally isolated in a room for almost 5 hours while they were making phone calls about what tests to give and what to do. They wouldn't let anyone come in without a suit. And when the doctor finally did come in, it looked like he had been swimming in water. It was tanks. There were like tanks of oxygen on his back, and he had a suit on. And I'm not talking about a church type suit. I'm talking about a more of a plastic or rubber suit. Plus, everybody that came in, the few that came in to see me, to give me a shot or whatever they did, were dressed in uniforms. And then they brought the x-ray machine over from the hospital to x-ray me. Well, there's a lot of things. I got thirsty. I went out in the hall after 4 hours, and I said, can anybody, anywhere, tell me if the undertaker has come to pick me up yet? Here's the thing: I couldn't keep my head up. I was sitting in a chair, laying my head and my arms on the bed that they have you lay on in there when they do examination. I can't tell you too much about it because of what's called brain fog. I knew I came in every week. I knew I had to lower my pants, and I got a shot on each hip. I was prescribed antibiotics. I don't know how many weeks this went on. And I know about the controversial effects of taking too much antibiotics, that it starts not having an effect. But somewhere along the line, the symptoms seem to have gotten to the point where I felt a new normal. Let's call it a new normal. I was used to the new symptoms. I'm going to name them off because I still have them after the second time I got COVID. They just increased in intensity. The number one is tiredness, not wanting to get out of bed. Memory and concentration problems. Many times they call it brain fog. Inability to focus. I knew I had to do certain things, couldn't focus on it. I woke up, but didn't want to get up. My body was motionless, but my brain activity was working. Still scattered, still not focused. The sleep. The sleep was unbearable, and trying to get to sleep by 3 o'clock in the morning. It caused me to seek out a special sleep doctor that gives me medicine, and that's where I came from tonight, and that's why I'm doing this video, because I've totally lost interest in doing these videos, and that's part of the problem. You lose interest also. So I'm forcing myself to get back on YouTube, even if I only have a few people that this means something to. Okay. I've already mentioned not only being tired but having no energy. I sometimes found myself walking wobbly, and I would have to grab the handles on each side of the stairways. They're not handles, but rails, handrails on each side of the stairs. There's the upstairs and there's a basement, so there's two sets of stairs I had to be sure and hang on to, or I was afraid I'd fall. The loss of smell of food did occur, and those were the major situations I was facing. Now, here's the thing that causes me to push it out and not talk about it. Number one, people that never had COVID or never had long COVID don't really want to hear about it. Those who had COVID but it was short term don't necessarily believe in long COVID. Some even think you're making it up so you can get on disability or not go back to work. Well, I tell you, when I was doing research on YouTube, there were journalists or people in the medical field. There was even a doctor that had long COVID, and he talked about it. So feel free to do some research on it on YouTube, and you'll see what people are going through that have long COVID. What I'm going to do is the basics of paying bills, of course. I'm a mental health worker, a marriage and family therapist, clinical social worker, school psychologist, and addictions therapist. And I'm having to take courses to renew all those licenses, 40 hours per license. So I'm working online on the computer, which is allowed, to get my classes so I can renew my license, even if I never work again. However, I do still see 2 or 3 people. I have the energy to do that. What else am I doing? I'd love to set up a studio for this YouTube. I have a friend who may be watching this right now named Steve Tivis. I think he's got 2 channels. Steve Tivis, Tevis. The Life and Said Ending is his major one. and All Wheels Down. I believe it's his second channel. He's helped me get as far as I have, but he lives in Pennsylvania, and we only talk about once every 3 weeks. I don't have anyone here in town that can say, hey, let me help you set up a decent looking studio with a good background. Let me help you put up your mic and cameras. I don't have that yet. So actually, as of a week ago, I stopped making YouTubes. I was making them, but my quality in my eyes was decreasing. So I deleted them. It's funny how that works. I can make a YouTube, and I've done this on Facebook too. I'm on Facebook if you want to be a friend, but I just sent a friend request. But what happens is there I went and forgot what I was in the middle of saying. Okay, I put something on YouTube, or I put something on Facebook, and then as the night goes on, I think about, I don't like something I said. I didn't say it right. I will either get up then, or as early as I can make myself wake up and delete them. So I've deleted several of the YouTube ones in the last week. I made them. I thought they were great when I made them because I had a surge of energy in the evening. And then there comes the thinking about them all night until 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. I went to sleep after 5 this morning. Now, having said that, that's not normal for me. It's more like 2:30. And all this started as a result of the COVID. And I pay a doctor $110 per half an hour to listen to me and offer feedback. Today was one of those days. And I said, do you have people in your practice? He works at 2 hospitals, and he has a private practice where I saw him. He says, yes, it's a real thing. He says, some get better, some never get better. And it's very, very, very possible that you're suffering with long-term COVID. Will I ever get better? No one knows. But you create a new normal for the time being. That means I do the best I can and realize that's a state of mind and body. I was even sent for body rehab in a gym by my doctor to try to get strength again, to try to get motivation. And I went for maybe 3 to 4 months. That's what insurance paid. To tell you the truth, I was glad when the last day came. I don't feel any worse for not going. So, for you who, well, let me share one last thing. How did I get long-term COVID? I had been cured of, or mostly cured of COVID, and my wife was working in the school system as a school psychologist It was the last kid she tested, and he was coughing all over the place, just completely coughing and wouldn't nonstop. She tried to cut it short. She came home the next day. I had it. Next day, I went to the doctor, and they ran me through the labs, an X-ray, and I had it. Then she wanted to come in because she went and got one of those lab tests you can get at Walgreens. And once she told the doctor she had it, it tested positive. They said, you can't come in, you'll give it to the other people in the office. You need to go to the emergency room. Well, apparently some people cure up pretty good, whether they have 1, 2, or 3 bouts with COVID. Other people can have one, and it will turn into long COVID. You won't find too much about it on Google. And in fact, when I Googled it, it said it didn't exist. But I looked under different categories, and it talked about it. If you really want to hear it from the doctors, the therapist, the hospitals, when you get done with this, go to YouTube, search engine, and put long-term COVID. There's another name for it too, but my mind forgot it. It has the word journey or something like that in it. Sorry, I probably didn't seem too focused, but I felt like I wanted to get back on. Even if I delete this later, I wanted to see if anybody was helped by it. And you have a good day. If you leave a message, I'll try to answer it as quick as possible. You take care.